Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is a review of the 2019 comedy slash biopic Dolemite Is My Name. And fucking up motherfuckers is my game. Dolemite Is My Name is a movie that I was highly looking forward to and really anticipating ever since I saw the trailer. The trailer made it look like a really fun romp. I was really surprised and enthusiastic about Eddie Murphy's potential return to his comedic form and to his roots as one of the funniest motherfuckers alive. And it was really nice to see that comedic spark of brilliance once again. And I love the cast, Wesley Snipes, all these other talented actors and actresses. It looked like an interesting idea and a fun concept, blaxploitation, Ed Wood, so to speak. So it's one of those things that I really did look forward to, and I am really glad to be sitting here after seeing the movie and telling you that it lived up to the hype and then some. This was not only a movie that was funny as hell and one of the funniest comedies I've seen this year, but it also was a really great film in terms of the fact that it had a really nice message to get across that I think is going to inspire a lot of people of a lot of different races and genders. And that's something that I think really could have come across as tone deaf, or could have been something that could have been handled really badly. But this movie doesn't do that. It has a message of empowerment that's sprinkled throughout the movie, but it's never shoved down your throat. It never has all the impact of a 2x4 just hitting you repeatedly in the face. It's not like that. And it just goes to show you that you can have a film that has a message of empowerment and not have it be so thick and so hard to sit through because it's just constantly being shoved down your throat. This movie I also felt was really well directed by Craig Brewer. I thought his direction in this was fantastic. He not only did a wonderful job working with his actors and getting the most out of them, but he also did a great job with the comedic bits, with the timing, and with bringing the setting of the 70s, the era that this film is set in, to life, and doing it in a loving way that didn't come across as cheap or one of those examples of a movie that's just trying really hard to be nostalgic. It felt very genuine and authentic when it comes to how he portrayed the era that the film took place in. A large part of that is because of the excellent production design and art direction, and as well as costume design and other aspects of the production. The script I also felt was really well done. I thought it was a great script by Scott Alexander and Larry Karazaweski. There's only one moment in it that I didn't really care for. There's a moment in the film where Dolemite, Rudy Ray Moore, he's looking through some drawers in the hotel that he's using for his production company and for his set for the movie, and he finds a photo, and I think it's supposed to be of the bum that inspires him to do his whole Dolomite routine, but I've also heard that it's supposed to be his father. But either way, I don't really like the approach that the scene has, where he just pretty much says to the photo, like, fuck you, I'm Dolomite. You know, you said I wasn't going to do shit, but here I am. It just came across a little bitter and mean-spirited, and I didn't really think that was necessary. And it kind of felt a little bit out of place. But that's a scene that only lasts like a minute or two. Other than that, I mean, I thought it had some great quotes and some really great scenes. I mean, going back to the message of empowerment, I mean, this quote right here is inspiring. I want you to live the life that you love and love the life that you live. From the frantic Atlantic to the terrific Pacific, be the best of whatever you are. Shoot for the moon, and if you miss it, Cling on to a motherfucking star. It's still has the crudeness of Rudy Ray Moore, but there's a genuine moment and a genuine bit of inspiration there. There's some great advice there for all of us. Um, this movie, I definitely don't think would be as good as it ended up being without Eddie Murphy. I mean, Eddie Murphy was just perfect as Rudy Ray Moore. He may not have actually looked like Rudy Ray Moore. The two of them don't really look very alike, but he captured Rudy Ray Moore's personality and his charisma so well. He captured the spirit of the actor as well as the character of Dolemite, and he did it in a fashion that was so impressive that I don't really think that anyone else could have done a better job. And plus, Eddie Murphy has this charisma and pull that is unique to him. It's something that's been forgotten about by a lot of people, and I don't blame a lot of people for forgetting how truly hilarious and irreverent and unique of a personality and person that Eddie Murphy was in his prime, because he's been doing a lot of bad movies or a lot of films that are just for kids. But his performance here reminds people that Eddie was that guy. He was that guy who saved Saturday Night Live from being canceled and from oblivion in the 80s. He was that guy who broke box office records with movies like Beverly Hills Cop. He was that guy who broke records with stand-up movies like Raw, which went on to be one of the highest grossing stand-up films of all time. He was the it guy. He was the funniest comedian and personality on the planet for a good chunk of his career. And a lot of people forget that because he would go on to do things like A Thousand Words, or Imagine That, or Pluto Nash. But there was a point in time where Eddie was the brightest star that comedy had to offer. And he was the biggest rising star in comedy. And when you see a role like this and a performance like this, it reminds you of why that's the case. And as a fan of Eddie Murphy and as a fan of especially Eddie in his prime, this is so refreshing and so wonderful to see him climb back up to that mountaintop and just scream to the heavens and to have this resounding message to everyone that I am back and I am still one of the funniest motherfuckers alive. I'm still incredibly talented and I'm still great. And as a fan of his, that is just something that is priceless. It really is. It's absolutely priceless. The rest of the cast does a really wonderful, amazing job too. I mean, Davine Joy Randolph as Lady Reed, I loved her. I loved her performance. I really liked her character. I thought her and Eddie Murphy had a really wonderful mix of personalities, and I felt that they had great chemistry. I know I'm kind of repeating myself with the words of adulation that I'm using, but there's only so many that you can use or so many that you can say. And I love the chemistry between the two of them. They really were quite the pair. Keegan-Michael Key was fine too as Jerry Jones. I don't think he was given a whole lot to do, but what he was given, he did a good job with it. Mike Epps was fun as Jimmy Lynch, one of Rudy's friends. Craig Robinson was good too. He didn't have a whole lot to do either, but he did a good job of what he was asked to perform or what he was asked to do in the film. Wesley Snipes, though, he almost stole the film as D'Urville Martin. It was so much fun to see Wesley Snipes play this kind of character who is the complete opposite of this badass action star. He had this really off-kilter, kind of strange vibe to him, but it worked very well. It was kind of flamboyant, but in a way still really straight. It's like he's not trying to play the role like he did in Tu Wong Fu, for instance. But there was something about his character that was a little off, but in a good way. And a part of it was this sort of flamboyant attitude that his character had. I also really loved the bits that he had, the back and forth that he had with Eddie Murphy as well. It just made me want to see more of those two together in a movie, because they created a lot of sparks with this particular film, and with their performances. The other actresses and actresses were fine too. I mean, Chris Rock had a fun little cameo role, as well as Snoop Dogg. Bob Odenkirk was well cast as the head of Dimension Pictures. And all the other supporting cast members also did their jobs quite well. I don't really think there was really one bad acting job or performance among the bunch. Some were better than others, some I liked more than others, but there wasn't anyone in the cast that was like terrible or was bad. The score by Scott Bomar, I don't really remember a whole lot of notes, because I don't think the film really relied a lot upon an original score. It relied more upon music, uh, in terms of songs from the 70s or songs from Dolemite, and I personally felt that was the right choice. The cinematography by Eric Steelberg I thought was quite sterling, especially when it comes to just making this urban environment and this whole community come to life in a way that is just so dynamic in 70s LA. And I felt the film definitely had some excellent editing by Billy Fox. It had a running time about 118 minutes, but it never really felt like it was too long. There weren't really any moments where I was like, this is boring, or it lost my interest. I thought it was the right amount of story and the right amount of pacing for a film of this particular length. I'm not going to give away a whole lot. I'm not going to go through a plot synopsis, because I honestly feel that you should just see the film for yourself. But I will have to say this. I mean, Eddie Murphy's renditions of Rudy Ray Moore's routines is just absolutely hilarious. And there's even stuff like where this just cracks me up thinking about it, because we're this it's just how Eddie does it that's so hilarious to me. This is after nobody wants to pick up the movie, and he's just had it, and he's at a diner with all his friends, and he just completely flips his shit because he's just had enough of their fucking leeching, and and it's just how Eddie does it that's just so funny. I mean, Ben is telling him, it's like, well, at least we had a good time. And Rudy's like, you know what, Ben? Fuck you, man. Your ass had fun because you ain't have to pay for all of this shit. I'm in debt up to my ears. I gave all my record royalties to the Bihari brothers, and ain't nobody want this damn movie. And you got a whole lot of nerve ordering an extra side of greens at a time like this. You pay for these fucking greens yourself. In fact, you're all gonna start paying for your own shit, because I ain't no fucking endless faucet of fucking money. Here, you pay for them waffles. You pay for that burger, and you pay for your shit and your extra greens. You're having strawberries. You pay for your motherfucking strawberries your damn self. I mean, it's absurd, but it's hilarious just because of how Eddie does that scene and how he says those lines. Like, I can't do it justice myself. I can only pale in comparison. And going back to the whole routine, the Dolemite routine. trying to find the quote here. Like, there's some really great lines. Like, she got so low, she sucked an earthworm's dick. And, just a lot of stuff like that. It's outrageous. This is such an outrageous movie, but it's so refreshing in this day and age of political correctness that we have a movie that's unabashedly outrageous and offensive, but at the same time, it wears its heart on its sleeve. It a lot of critics have said that Eddie Murphy's portrayal of Rudy Ray Moore is irresistible, and I definitely agree with that. Despite the controversial subject matter and the outrageousness, this character never really comes across as an asshole. And he easily could have been. It easily could have been a character who got on your nerves, and you were just like, well, he thinks he's hot shit, but he's a loser. But that's really not the case. Eddie does it in a way that just makes this character someone that you just love to see work, and you love to see him be who he is, and to exude all of this charisma, and to do this charade, because that's what this character is. This character is a charade. It's just an act. But Eddie Murphy is such a great actor that he makes this act so compelling and unbelievably entertaining. And plus, it definitely helps that, you have such a great director who seems to be perfect for this particular project, and you have a lot of passion involved with every aspect of this production. Nobody in this film seems like they're half-assing anything, or they're just doing it for a paycheck. Everyone seems to be genuinely passionate and really into this production. So here you have, I'm just going to do one more quote. This is a little bit of the routine that Ray Moore does on stage. He's like, yes, I want you to listen, and listen well, because I'm that bad motherfucker that drove the devil out of hell. I once walked from New York City to the deep, deep South just to slap a son of a bitch in his motherfucking mouth. Mules have kicked me, and they didn't bruise my hide. A rattlesnake bit me, and then just crawled off and died. Because Dolemite is my name, and fucking up motherfuckers is my game. So yeah, it's one of those movies that you have to see to really appreciate its brilliance and its innate ability to entertain and to just be such a compelling and unique film in its own right. It's one of those biopics that I definitely feel does exactly what a biopic is supposed to do. Has you learn more about the title character, but does it in a way that is engaging and entertaining throughout. Dolemite Is My Name is a movie that it's a damn shame that it never got a wide theatrical release, because it deserved it. And I hope to hell that this gets a home video release, because it would also be a damn shame if this doesn't get a Blu-ray release. And knowing Netflix, it probably won't, and that sucks, because this is a great film. It's a movie I would love to own in my collection officially, and I would love to see features. I would love to hear a commentary track with the director and Eddie Murphy. I would love to see interviews with Eddie about it, because you can tell this is something that he really genuinely loves and loved being a part of. And that goes a long way, especially for a veteran actor like Eddie Murphy. Apparently, he had been wanting to do this ever since 2003. He just didn't find a distributor or anyone that wanted to pony up the money and make the movie, until Netflix decided, hey, we'll give it a shot. So, if you like films like Ed Wood, this is a prime, if you like that movie, I think you will definitely enjoy this, because it's a similar sort of thing. It's a biopic that deals with low budget, low rent, grindhouse type of filmmaking, but instead of taking place in the 50s, it takes place in the 70s, And I honestly would say I like this more than Ed Wood. And I liked Ed Wood. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm going to pick Dolemite Is My Name. Because, no offense to Johnny Depp, Eddie Murphy just has that power and that charisma that Johnny Depp doesn't really have. And the character of Ed Wood doesn't have. Like, Dolemite is a character that it just grabs you. It grabs you by the balls, and you love it. And I honestly want to check out these Dolemite movies now after seeing Dolemite Is My Name. I think I can honestly have a lot of fun with them for what they are. So yeah, if you're a fan of exploitation cinema, or you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, especially if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, or just a fan of biopics in general, I highly recommend this one. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about Dolomite Is My Name, except if I were to rate it out of 5 stars, I would give the movie 4.5 out of 5. The only thing I had an issue with is that one scene, and like I said, some of the performances were better than others. There were some performances by some of the characters that I was like, kind of on. Also, I would have liked to have seen more scenes with Wesley Snipes, or more scenes with Epps, or more stuff with some of the other supporting cast members, Craig Robinson, Keegan-Michael Key. I understand they were making this more of a focus on Eddie and Rudy Ray Moore, and that was the right idea. But there are some characters in the supporting cast that I personally feel aren't as strong as some of the other supporting cast members, and I really felt that they should have had more shine or more screen time. Um, but other than those things, I don't really have any other issues with the movie. It goes by at a great pace. It's a rollicking good time. It had me rolling on the floor laughing at quite a few different scenes. And like I said earlier in this video, it also has a great message of empowerment that is done in a way that doesn't seem ham-fisted in any way, shape, or form. And I got to give the film a lot of props for that alone, because there's so many movies nowadays that just seem to shove that message down your throat in a way that's uncomfortable, and in a lot of ways ruins the movie or the experience of watching the film, because you can even be enjoying the movie or into the concept, or liking how things are going, and then it just keeps shoving this message down your throat, and then eventually you just spit it back up and you're just like, I don't like this. I really do not like this experience. And therefore, you're not really as big of a fan of the film. And that's not what happened with this movie. So I think more filmmakers and writers should take a look at this movie as to how to put a message of empowerment in your movie in a way that doesn't come across as off-putting. So, yeah, I can't sing enough praises for this movie. I highly recommend it. I know I've said that multiple times, but I definitely mean it. And I am really curious about Coming to America, the sequel, uh, mainly because of Eddie Murphy, who's back in the saddle again, and is a big part of the film. But also the director of Dolemite Is My Name, Craig Brewer, is directing the sequel. I still am very leery about it, because I don't think it's really necessary, and I don't really think we really need a sequel. But I am way more curious about it than I was beforehand, after seeing what Craig Brewer and Eddie Murphy were capable of with Dolemite Is My Name. If they can just capture a fraction of the lightning in a bottle that they managed to do with this movie, with the sequel to Coming to America, they would still have a pretty decent film. So, yeah, Dolemite Is My Name is a funny, irreverent, entertaining, wonderful film that I definitely feel will garner a cult following over the years, and definitely will stand up to the test of time. Anyway, thank you for watching my review of Dolemite Is My Name. And as always, I will see you later. See ya.